Hey, Campers and team. This is your end of June, very early July company update. And we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple different things, how we're doing, with a big emphasis on the sales side of things. We're also going to talk about change and how we go through change, one of our wellness benefits, and then just 4th of July real quick. So let's jump right in. So last week, we had a meeting with the sales managers, GMs, and some of the sales leadership. And it was a good meeting. We talked about how we're doing and so really focused on the sales side. After that, several of the teammates that were on that call from other departments said, "Hey, that'd be a really good message for not just the sales leadership, but for everybody." So the goal here is to put out some of the same messaging to everybody. So let's jump into that. So as an industry, I think we all know we've felt that the industry is significantly off from COVID highs. For the retail volume is off at least a third, depends on the market and a whole bunch of things. What the manufacturers are shipping are even less than that, but the retails is off about a third. And so what we have is the industry has too much inventory. We've talked about that in previous updates, and we've been making our way through that. As a company, the good news is we've actually made our way through that really well, and I'll get to that in a minute. But oftentimes when the market is slowing or slowed, at this point we're kind of steady state at a lower volume level than the pandemic, it can feel like you're losing internally. It feels like, oh man, everything's such a grind, it's so tough. But my message is that perception is not accurate. We're actually winning in the marketplace. So more of our stores than not are taking market share. We have a lot of stores that are taking a lot of market share. Some other things that are going on. We have a consulting company called Spader, many of you are familiar with. So we get benchmarked on a lot of different metrics, and a lot of those metrics we're doing better than our competition. So things like our sales per sales department employee is up and doing much better than most of our peers. Our available income or gross income per sales department employee is doing better than most of our peers. Our inventory turns is doing better. Collectible efficiency, the service team, you guys are continuing to do a good job there. And one of the other areas is finance. You know, a lot of people have seen significant changes in finance. We've been pretty steady at what we call our ASP. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that's actually winning in the marketplace. And the biggest one is the market share and actually gaining market share in most of our stores. So sometimes winning can feel like losing when the overall economy doesn't feel that great, or economy is not the right word. The industry is experiencing a rebalancing. So this message is to let you know that, in fact, Campers Inn and you all and most of your stores are doing a good job. And you need to know that because sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but that's what's actually happening is that we're doing well. In addition, there's some things that we've done with your help, and really you all have been great to help us through this, is helping us rebalance our inventory. One, to a level of inventory that is needed for the market, because we did have too much last year. And then also moving out expensive inventory. So 2022s we bought at higher pricing. Now we're buying RVs at lower pricing. So we could sell a 2022 at the same price as a 23, and if we did, we might make the same money. It depends on the unit, depends on lots of different things, but it's really interesting. We have to move those 22s out, and it's been painful to do that. But we've moved thousands of them out in the last few months, and I'm not exaggerating. We've moved thousands of them, and we're now down to a few stores still have more than a handful, but most of the stores have a handful, and we're really working with those stores that have more than a handful to continue to move them out. So we're really balancing our inventory well to the point where we're able to make really good decisions on inventory going forward. An example is, most of you know that we bought some of those 22 RSD Gulfstreams recently, and we bought them at such a price that we were able to sell them as used. And there's a lot of questions why you'd want to sell them as used. It's because it's an older piece, sat on a lot for a while. We want to make sure that we're passing that value. You know, if it had been shown and people had gone in and out of them, so we'll sell them as used to the customer, give them a huge benefit off the value side, but nobody's ever camped in it before. So we were able to buy a bunch of those, send them to the stores, give you all new pieces to sell as used that the salespeople can make money on. We can turn pretty quickly and do well. We've also taken advantage of some other buyback opportunities. Some other dealers weren't great with their money during the good times. So they've run into some really tough challenges. We've been one of the beneficiaries of manufacturers having to buy that inventory back and then sell it to another dealer because we put ourselves in a good position. We see that continuing going into the second half of the year. It is really likely that some other dealers are going to be in trouble, especially, when the volume changes. We've seen this over the course of our company's history. And Campers Inn is in the position we're going to be able to take advantage of that. So we're going to be able to work with our manufacturers to take inventory that came off of dealers' lots and provide a really good value to our customers while also being a win for us. So overall, the second half of the year, because we've been cleaning up our inventory really well, because we've been selective on the inventory we bring in, and because we're able to buy inventory at a good value, we're going to have a pretty good year on the second half of the year compared to the first. So one of the comments I made to the sales leadership team was, it's always darkest right before the dawn. And sometimes, especially as I traveled around at some of the stores, the attitudes were grim. And of course, I'm thinking, well, we're right on the verge of getting out of this and having an easier time in the second half. So anyway, so that's my message, is that one, we're doing well in the market versus our competitors in the industry. We've also positioned ourselves very well, and we are right on that verge of having cleaned up the inventory and being able to do a bit better. So I'm actually in a pretty optimistic mood of the second half. So that was the overall message, and we talked about where the company's at, and the financial health and employee turnover and all sorts of different things on that call. But the root is that we're winning, we're doing well, and you can have confidence that the company will continue to do well, and there will be a benefit. Like even on the service side, because the service guys might be saying, oh, great, that's all sales. Not really. When we get rid of the 2022s that are really old, they're causing a lot of challenges in service with having to reprep and stuff that's not being covered by warranty, and we're fighting all that, right? When we get cleaner, fresher inventory, it benefits you, benefits the parts department, not having to chase down random parts to go find, benefits the finance department because some of these 22s are not financeable as new anymore because of their age, because some of the banks say that they have to be financed as used. So everybody benefits as we get ourselves in that better inventory position, and we are looking forward to a better second half. So that was the message we had last week. A couple other things is that we continue to go through some change initiatives, and change initiatives can sound really scary, but one of our core values is continuous improvement. So at Campers Inn, we ask our teammates, me and everybody else, right, to be adaptable and be really open to continuous improvement, which means we are going to try new things. We're going to see what works. The Sales Improvement Initiative is a great example of something we're doing, but there's many different initiatives. I think on the last update or the one before that, I talked about the advisory board and how we have a board of advisors to challenge our thinking from the company leadership stance, and really challenge how we think of just how we're running the company and those sorts of things. So continually, we're going to use continuous improvement to get better, challenge the status quo, and make sure that we're leading and winning, right? Because our culture is not just about the satisfaction, it's the success side. We try to balance the success and satisfaction, and continuous improvement helps us do that. So the message was just, I guess if you wanted me to say it really directly, is that this probably isn't the company that we're going to rest on our laurels and be okay with the status quo. We do believe in change. Those employees that have been with us more than a few years have seen a lot of change for the company. That's just part of our DNA. It's part of our values. It's part of how we live and work. And we're not always right when we make a change, and we'll adjust as we go. But we try to do what's right. We make sure it's aligned with our values. When we make mistakes, we adjust and we move forward. So that's the piece of the core values wanted to fit into this message. Nothing too specific that we want to address, but just kind of an overall message. And then another thing that we did on the benefit side, this is actually kind of cool. You may view it as big or small depending on perspective, but on the preventative care side, we really want our teammates to be healthy and be with us a long time. So we launched this preventative care program, which basically says that if you get any preventative care, and our healthcare provider states what it is, but it's basically physicals, immunizations, wellness biometrics, things like cancer screenings, different sorts of screenings. You're going to be entered to win some prizes, and we're going to be doing those from time to time, some different prizes. Just something fun. We're asking everybody to participate, enter to win, to have a good wellness initiative, preventative care initiative, because we know that when things are caught at a very early stage, there's a whole lot better outcomes for the treatments than waiting until later. So there are, some people say, well, why do we want everybody to go get preventative care? It's going to raise our healthcare costs. Well, that's not actually what the data shows. The data shows that groups that go get the preventative care are more likely to catch things at an earlier age. So we have a cool preventative care program. If any of you are interested more, I believe that the admins on the teams have been pushed out the bulletins. They may have been printed out for your stores. Go get a screening or something else, and we can all work on being healthy together as a population. The last message I had was for Happy 4th of July, because that's coming up in a few days. Our country's Independence Day is an awesome time to just celebrate what we have and the freedoms that we have. Those that know me, I know I have it in my background, right? But former military guy, just our country really is awesome. We really do protect the freedoms for not just ourselves, but those around the world. And the United States has made a unbelievable difference in the history of really the whole world and freedoms that we pass around to everybody. So take a minute and on the 4th of July and try to celebrate our Independence Day, and even if that's cooking some steaks or hamburgers or something else. So I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. I'm excited as we head into that second half of the year. I think we are positioned well for a good half, and appreciate every one of you. And as always, if you have comments or suggestions on things we should bring up during our meetings, be sure to send me a note. It's super helpful to come up with some different topics. So thanks, everybody, and I'll be seeing you around.